Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Minority leader.
I think that as an entrepreneur who operated in the mining sector some 18 years ago, what I know for a fact is that in the mining sector in particular, is largely dominated by our foreign compatriots. Little Ghanaian presence. In the value chain, those local content bit of it, even the few that are controlled by Ghanaians, there's nothing to write home about. If you come to the manufacturing, same. Oil and gas is even worse. I registered as a local content player, and for over 12 years, I've never won a single job.
Really?
Yeah, my company registered as a local content. Recently, when the previous chief executive, I've seen 3 chief executives who, the first one I've forgotten, but at least I remember Senior Magas and MFA Hardcastle now. And the last time when I met MFA, for instance, I told her that, look, you guys must try and give space to the local players because it's quite difficult. The structures make it difficult for a Ghanaian to penetrate, though we have the law as a local content. At best time, we tried, but you can't blame them. It's the way the system is. So
the playing field is not even?
At all.
Wow.
Now, if you come to trading, the retail, that one too, because of ECOWAS, we have a chunk of sub-regional players coming in, and our indigenous traders have been complaining and all. So, a platform like this in itself is a good initiative, and I commend the Chief of Staff and his friends who came up with this idea for at least creating a platform for a voice to be heard, where all the parties are brought together. So the Kwewu Business Forum initiative, from the view of an entrepreneur, is a perfect platform. Now, what we need to do beyond it is to have some actionable resolution.
True.
Where we would follow through. So, for instance, after first edition, coming to second edition, we should be able to say that in first edition, this is what we did. Particularly for small businesses. A lot of young Ghanaian ladies are venturing into manufacturing. Some have their own professions and they ventured into this. There are religious leaders who are interested in entrepreneurship. There are others who, by their very nature, are entrepreneurs. So, this forum should go beyond politics. Although people complain that it's often populated by party members, it should be expected, but it should go beyond that. And in so doing, we need to create a certain base, a base where we would nurture and grow businesses, a base where we would leverage. So, for instance, the area of mining, the area of oil and gas, that I told you that there is little presence of Ghanaians there. You force the policy makers. So once you have the president there, you take advantage of the president's presence to make your case, so that in formulating policies, it is done deliberately to assist or help local business. You see, I would do. In Ghana today, and I don't want anybody to get me wrong, most of the CSOs who undertake investigative journalism or critique on government actions and talk about corruption, and I'm not questioning the modus. I don't want to be misquoted. But unfortunately, whether by coincidence or whatever, all the exposures are against Ghanaian companies. But I know, I'm a businessman. Some of these companies, we are competitors. I know foreign firms that make it huge. They get $150 million contracts. They get $200 million contract. They get $50 million contract. When you are paying them, their accounts are abroad. Not a single CSO has ever come out with any expose against a foreign registered firm. That, to me, that coincidence is quite concerning. I must be honest.
Maybe there's nothing to expose.
Oh, please, I'm saying,
Yes.
just for argument.
Yes.
I'm throwing it out there, respectfully. Look, when this government came into office, I won't list them, but go to Parliament, look at the order paper. The juiciest contracts
Are going to foreigners.
are going to foreigners. Look at it. Go and look at it. I wouldn't mention now. But you get your parliamentary correspondent to look at the order papers from day one. From day one. Obianka Hunshio. No, nobody sees anything wrong. I am not saying that a Ghanaian business must not be subjected to any scrutiny. But it is quite concerning that when a Ghanaian business is succeeding, we are up in arms against how it's succeeding. You get what I mean?
I get it.
So we have to look at it properly. Listen, the way the world politics is going, if you don't domesticate, you collapse. And NDC should not take things for granted. There's a huge disappointment out there. They will be shocked. If elections are held today, NDC would be shocked. What happened to us in 2024, theirs will be worse. I wish them well, though, because if the country succeeds, all of us will benefit, by the way. So I'm not looking at it from the political lens, but I'm looking at it in the national interest. That NDC, Mr. President, is exiting. I would beg of you, Mr. President, look critically at every single contract that gets out there. And at least make sure, if not all, at least any 50-50. I would do only 50-50. Deliberate. Mr. President must be deliberate. Get all the ministers to be deliberate. And it's not just being a Ghanaian company, but an indigenously owned Ghanaian company. You can have a Ghanaian company, foreign owned. By the way, I'm not against a foreigner investing in Ghana.
True.
I am also not against foreign investment in Ghana. I am not anti-foreign investor. But I'm saying is that contemporaneously, we must grow our own. Because whoever invests in Ghana, onye nisika na, odo sanse ko, he has to repatriate the money. Because it's also coming from a source. You can't question them. But if a Ghanaian makes it here, he stays here and creates a job. Now, I've said one thing. Let me say the other. I also have a problem with many Ghanaian businessmen who get state support and abuse same. And this is also another warning to the NDC in government today. And those young guys from among their stock who are being nurtured. Look, this morning is not for any political hypocrisy. It is to be expected. that once a party comes into office, it will identify some young party boys who are business oriented. Kufuor did that for many businessmen. Akufo-Addo helped many youths to do business. But the problem is the abuse. Abuse is abenisika. Look, if you go to exit, people got opportunity and abuse it. Those days, there used to be EDIF at Ministry of Trade. Go and check the records. Many Ghanaians got opportunity and abused it. 1D, 1F. Many got opportunity and abused it. In the end, the politician must answer. No. I think that from the Kwewu Forum, as I'm also hitting government, that government should do it right, I am also saying that fellow Ghanaian entrepreneur, when the opportunity comes, don't abuse it. If you are given $2 million to start a business, don't go and buy a car, don't go to East Legon, to Ajingano or airport to buy a house, and then turn around and say, I supported NDC to come to office. No, that is wrong. That means you don't support your president's legacy for the country. And in the end, it's the country that suffers. You get what I mean?
I get it.
So it's two ways. Once we talk about indigenous businesses growing, being given the opportunity, I also think that indigenous businesses must prepare themselves with that level of discipline. Look, one sorana wonye sika. Sika was in Yansan or was it Pesika? You use wisdom, you use patience. Industry is asking for patient capital. But I know that patient capital requires a long-term planning. By the way, when I say patient capital, I'm talking about that capital that is long-term, that has low interest, that gives you the space to pay after 10 years or 15 years. But again, the policy must be said that in supporting this, it would also be sure that you have systems in place to sustain that. Because if the man is 60 years and is asking for patient capital of 15 years, which is, say, 10 million, and the government or the regulation, the institution of state is not too sure, or the bank is not too sure, that you have a succession plan that will allow that you are 60, in 15 years you'll be 75. You'll be so weak, you may even be dead and gone. What are the support systems you have in place? If they are not sure, they can't give you that patient capital. Meanwhile, you have a beautiful idea. So it is more about the attitude, how we approach this. You know, our workers, the Ghanaian workers' attitude must be one of ensuring the success of all. We don't have that attitude.
Right.
I'm sorry. So, on the national scale, I think that the government must try reintroducing what President Kufuor did, a national orientation program. The whole country needs a national orientation.
Right.
Because how do you started by saying that some critics say politicians play politics.
And dishonest bunch.
They are dishonest.
Yes.
So the ordinary man on the street also has a certain perception. So in the end, both are becoming dishonest.
Right.
Who wins?
Nobody.
Nobody does. Do you get what I mean? So I think that Mr. President and his government must begin an aggressive national orientation program which will trickle down to the grassroots level, where all of us will share in that dream. You know, when you talk about the American dream,
right?
It is a dream of success, survival, working together, ensuring that nobody is left behind. That spirit is there. The Americans have put it on the minds of people. If you go to the United States, people have the American flags, you know, hoisted on their walls, in their houses, in front of their doors, on their cars. Here, how many times do we even carry the national flag?
Because we're not clear about what is the Ghana dream.
That's what I'm saying, that it's not too late. Under this reset,
Yes.
Mr. President can initiate it. By the way, Kufuor did it, all right? And you realize that certain conversations started. Because all the problems that we're talking about, trust me, we'll be repeating ourselves all the time if we don't change our attitude.
Right.
Why would a Ghanaian businessman go and bring an expert to be his general manager? So that the workers, when they see Obroni, that's when they will be alert. Because there's a problem. So it's not only in the public sector, but it has found its way in the private sector.
True.
Sometimes when you are being too hard, your workers may find you too difficult. But that is the reality. Okay? In the office, the person knows that he has to report at 8 a.m. He will come at 10 and find an excuse. It's not cool.
True.
And then I think, again, we are over-investing in the white collar certificates. I'm not against universities. I would do. But you go to Switzerland, yeah? A country like Switzerland has a policy that is deliberately encouraging apprenticeship, skill training. So another problem that I've been talking about, which many people know, yet there is no political decision to champion a policy, is the skilled labor space. President Akufo-Addo started it by making TVET free. The STEM that was introduced, science, technology, innovation, mathematics, we invested in all the 58 NVTIs and then made it free. The effort there too was to ensure that we build a skilled workforce. Today, if you go to many of the sites, you go and meet Togolese, Nigerians, Burkinabes. They are carpenters, masons, tilers, POP. So the economy can record that so much jobs have been created, right? But the question is, the so much jobs created, which people benefited? Non-Ghanaians. It is not the creation of those people, it's our creation policy. So one area that President Mahama may have to look at strongly is the skilled labor, subsector. The training, continuing the Akufo-Addo program and making deliberate efforts at ensuring that our youth see skill training as an alternative way. So I should be okay if my son comes to tell me, Daddy, I want to learn carpentry. Instead of saying, why are you not going to university? I'm a lawyer. Why do you want to be a carpenter? In Switzerland, they are doing that. People should not feel queer, shouldn't feel bad, shouldn't feel that I am a low-graded person, second-class citizen, if I have technical skill. But the person must have that pride, that happiness, that I chose that field, and this is my field, so that there is a balance.
Right.
Now, everybody is chasing that white-collar certificate, degree, degree. I'm not against acquisition of degree, but we are creating many more universities and choking the market with the degrees, and then the space that would also create the jobs, or where the job creation is easy, where people can build their own entrepreneurial skills, we are ceding that space also to foreigners.
Right.
So there is a certain mismatch in terms of policy, which I believe that the government may have to look at critically, because all this galamsey we keep talking about, People's answer is I survivor.
Right.
If you go in there, you see degree holders who are there. But if we've trained them with the necessary skill and they understand and they know, they won't be doing this.
True.
So we should look at the country beyond now, 20 years, 10 years, and ask the question. Political leaders, can we survive the implosion? Can we survive the backlash? Unfortunately, social media has put everything out there. And if we don't sit up, we'll have ourselves to blame.
Okay. I want us to talk about some other issues which has to do with entrepreneurship, and that's my final question on the matter of entrepreneurship, of course, on the back of the Kwewu Business Forum. The president has said something that I'm sure should excite you. He talks about how he's going to be very deliberate in ensuring that during his regime, there's nothing like an NDC businessman and an NPP businessman. And that for him is who can do the job. Now, he talks about how during the big push contracts that were awarded, some people came to him and talked about how some persons who eventually got the opportunity to do the jobs are actually NPP people. And that these are NPP people who have been given contracts for 8 years. Why are they still being given contracts under an NDC government? And then he tells the person that, look, can the person do the job? For him, that's what matters. Once the person has the capacity to do it, and the person is, in any case, the person is going to employ Ghanaians. And so he doesn't think there's a problem there, there's an issue there, but he thinks that it's a subculture that Ghana must do away with, where you come to power, NDC businessmen do well under an NDC government, and then the NPP, businesses struggle, and then vice versa. The NPP is in power, and the NPP businessmen do well, NDC businessmen, in some cases, even go moribund. They collapse. What are your thoughts about political victimization of businesses because of where they belong, in terms of their partisan affiliations?
Well, I have my own sad story, but I won't share it today.
You do?
Another time, we'll discuss it.
Why not? What's the story? I'm eager to know.
What the president said.
Alex, I'm eager. I want to know.
President Akufo-Addo also went through
what's the story?
Similar situation.
Story?
I remember in the early days of the administration, there were all manner of accusations that Nanado's government was allowing certain businesses to still do business, and these were businesses that were there during NPP, NDC time and all. But this brings me back to my earlier submission. You see, whenever these conversations come up, the conversation centers only on Ghanaian businesses. You see, unfortunately, it is the Ghanaian businesses that attacked NDC, NPP. But the foreign businesses are not tagged that way. So you realize that each time they get a space, like I told you, that if you go into Hansa, all the juiciest jobs that this government has given out have gone to foreigners. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I know the space, and I know this one is that, this one is that, this one is that, right? So if the president has made this promise, fortunately he's been president before, and at least he has a fair idea how the system is. So if he's committing to it, I'm sure we'll all support him, because it's quite worrying. Okay, that in today Ghana, right? Do you know something funny that's happening?
What's happening?
Do you know that foreign businesses who are owed by government, a lot of them are getting their payments, whereas Ghanaian-owned businesses that are owed, fewer are getting paid so little.
You know this for a fact?
Oh, why? I'm saying I'm an industry player.
It's not hearsay, somebody's come to tell you something.
I'm saying that I am an industry player. And we talk amongst ourselves, by the way. We talk amongst ourselves, we know. If somebody is paid, we know. All right? So sometimes, as I said, woman foreign a bit edi usika okodan okamawana. So we need to move beyond the talk and say we are growing this economy. Look, Atu is doing well. Trying, young man, finance minister, has the trust of the president. He is doing everything to get the macro space stable. But it would be a bubble if we don't begin to put the support systems in place. It will crash. And would we have to blame him as a person? No, we don't have to. Must we blame the system? Yes. So, I want all of us to sit together, right? Identify the challenges. Recently, when we engage the industry players, GUTA, Employers Association, AGI, look, they told us a lot. And that formed the foundation of the speech by the minority in Kwewu. What we told the forum was what we had heard from industry players. It wasn't from us. And realize that after each engagement, I issued a statement to put out the fact, to tell government that set up. Look into these areas. How can you cancel 1D, 1F without an alternative plan? The AGI president, for instance, I said, look, he invested in Wale Wale, 90% done. The factory will create jobs for 3,000 people. They say it's NPP something. So over a year, the thing is there. If you go to Central Region, the potato chips factory, done. They need working capital. The factory is locked. The machines will go bad.
Maybe the president.
The outgrowers.
Maybe the president is not aware.
Oh, so we are making him aware.
Okay.
At least we are talking about it. I'm saying that we have to be deliberate about everything. I have a friend in Alicante. We're doing agro-textile business. And when I visited him, somewhere 2019, he told me, oh, the factory is 200 years old. His great-great-grandpa started it. And when he got to his turn, there were 4 brothers, and he chose to be an entrepreneur to manage the business. And he was showing me his new machines and the new technology. You get what I mean?
Right.
In Ghana, do we have any family-owned business that is even 50 years? Do you get my point? It was the Spanish government that gave the great-great-grandpa a loan to start, to build the great-great-grandpa. And they followed with systems in place, creating jobs. These are things that we must be deliberate about as a nation. The discipline from you who is benefiting, not to say that because you are a party man, you chop the money by heart. And then when your party leaders come to you, say, but I supported the party. Nonsense. Why? You don't have to do that. So that discipline is not there. You get my point? And then we, the political leaders, too, when we come, is another ding-dong. We think that, oh, if you destroy this person's business, if you don't even pay the person, or you think that, oh, why should I pay this person? It's going to finance Osimesi. And so what? Pay the person, let the person employ more. Let's be deliberate about it.
Right.
You know, if you go to the AGI, Ghana Employers Association, GUTA, they are also complaining about limited consultation. They say sometimes after the policy has been rolled out, then they are invited into a meeting. The argument arose on the issue of what they term effective consultation. Effective consultation, where you engage them at all levels, hear their views. This VAT reform that was introduced, complete nonsense. Their businesses are going bad. You take away the flat system. You say you've introduced a new system. A trader, somebody who is selling drinks, who is into spare parts. Obey then why your friend say VAT book obey input and output. What be that? No, you don't have to do that. So You go to the port, you say you've introduced an AI system. Good news. We want government to get more revenue. But that AI, is it generic? How is it doing the input, the algorithms in there? How is it being done? Is it consulting all the parties, the stakeholders? How is it generating the values? People are complaining, so government can say, oh, I've achieved so much. Revenue has gone up. Oh, the people there are thieves. We have caught them. But no, there may be a fundamental problem. You can resolve that through consultation so that the AI would achieve its purpose whilst there is efficiency and at the same time people can come around. I am for AI. I am for technology. But you cannot deploy technology blindly. And that is a problem at the port. So in the end, what Guta told us was that goods that they were clearing, I say 10,000, has now increased to 30,000.
How?
They spoke to us on camera. All right? We recorded. Everything was live on Facebook, social media. Now, if government had listened carefully, they would have had a better way of deploring this. We are going to take certain actions, though. But for now, I want to say that government must listen more, especially when they come to parliament. It's not enough to think that you have your numbers, so you just say it anyhow. The mining sector, the upscaling regime they've introduced is a disincentive to the investment community in that sector. Then they say that they've reduced whatever from 3% back to 1%. No. If you do the analysis properly, you realize that it's a much ado about nothing. So government would have to listen not just the minority, but listen to the industry players. If President Mahama wants to create a new golden age for doing business, wants to create an enterprise economy, then I think that there must be more listening to the private sector. A whole national orientation that would do away with those cynicisms of the past, this cycle of you do me, I do you, that tagging of companies. There must be a complete overhaul. And it's not too late. If it is done and it's done well, when Dr. Bawumia comes in 2029, he would see the template, and I'm sure with those of us who are entrepreneurs supporting his vision, we would all say, Mr. President, look, this is the way to go. Because I have suffered. I have suffered since 2009. I won't give you details now. And I know others who went through similar thing and never recovered. Never recovered. There are many businesses who have never recovered from political attacks. And we must not allow that to continue.
Folks, and just in case you just joined us, I'm talking to the Member of Parliament for the Futi constituency. He's also the minority leader in Parliament, and he's a leader as a head of the Minority Caucus in Parliament. They call themselves the Mighty Minority. The Mighty Few. We've been having conversations about, we started with the Easter celebrations and his thoughts and reflections, and told us what he believes are the values that we must learn from the Easter celebration. Talked about generosity, obedience, and so on and so forth. And also went in to talk about the Kwewu Business Forum and what he thought was whether the relevance or otherwise of it. He thought it was a good idea, but there must be some actionable plans that must be tracked so that year in, year out, we're able to tell where we're going with this forum, so that it doesn't become another forum for talk, no action, or talk only, no action. And that's where he was coming from. But then that dovetailed into some of the challenges that he believed that especially local, domestic, indigenous Ghanaian businesses are facing. And he raised quite a litany of them, and his eye is calling on the government to address those issues as well. And yes, so those kinds of things. Now, Alex, we've done about an hour. We have about 30 more minutes to go. We have another personality interview to do. Now, interesting, this person who's coming next is actually related to you. I'm sure that you have an idea who this person is. But let's talk about your tenure as a minority leader. So you started as a deputy majority leader, became the majority leader. You're now the leader of the minority. What would you say the experiences of being like, being a minority leader as compared to being a majority leader when your party was in government, now minority leader, your party is in opposition, and you're looking at the numbers? I think that in the under the fourth Republican era regime from 1992, I think this is the smallest, I believe, that a minority leader has had to lead. How has the experience been like?
Well. Let me attempt answering your question in the simplest way that people would understand. So the party was handed over to me in Parliament at a very crucial time. 2024 February, when I took over from Honorable Chairman Sabonsu. Things were quite challenging. It was an election year. Our friends in the NDC were so determined to win power. And, you know, it was coming on the back of this Ken Must Go thing. And some members also had gone for their primaries, or were about going for primaries. I just want to be sure. I mean, let me not mislead people. I think people were either preparing for the primaries or they had just returned from primaries. And the center basically was shaking, you know, because of the 137. Speaker himself was all determined to help his side, you know, whilst at the same time trying to keep the balance. But it was obvious that he wanted his side to win, you know. Quite difficult. Eventually, remember the declaration of seat vacancies.
Right.
We tried behind the scenes engagement. It didn't work. I had to go to court to get our majority at least restored. Even so, our friends were very physical, you know, threatening all manner of things.
Okay.
Speaker shutting down Parliament. You remember the adjournment synod, and I mean it wasn't a good time to be a leader, you know. But it was also a time to test your preparedness for the office, and I would want history to judge my 9 months in that office. But I tried. And then eventually, we got into the election with these unfortunate numbers. They won. I told myself, well, I can't win a vote, but at least we should prepare. And that's what I told my colleagues. I spent time reading the Hansard in the J.H. Mensah era, and also spent time on Bagwin, because Bagwin also took over at a very difficult time. So I spent a lot of time, considerable hours reading and watching, you know, the videos, how things were managed. This man in particular, I had to study him, Doa Jaho.
Yes.
You know, he later became a speaker. And at least watching all of them, I came to a certain conclusion on what strategy to have. And besides that, I think I have a very strong team of colleagues in leadership. Mama Pat, the deputy leader, her words are few, but very firm in her conviction.
Right.
Anna Dompre and Habib combine their key strategists as organizers. You know, the whips, they organize everything. And they spend sleepless nights working hard to make things happen. And our new star on the block, Jerry, is a first-timer, but showing a lot of promise. He's our gun factor in the front bench. And in fact, in Parliament today, he represents the Greater Accra face, you know, in the caucus.
Right.
Very hardworking. He's my senior brother, you know, but so submissive, so determined to do his bit.
That's Ahmed.
Jerry, Ahmed Shai. And then Habib has risen so fast. I mean, he's a fast learner. When he came in, I told him that, Habib, you know, you need to master the rules. Today, I will tell you that Habib knows the rules more than my good self, you know, because he studied it, and when he stands on his feet and is challenging anything on the floor with the rules.
He sounds like an authority.
It's not that he sounds, he's an authority.
He's an authority.
You know, he does it flawlessly. And then the issue of whether or not he's a lawyer doesn't come to play at all.
Right.
And then Ano himself is the eye of the caucus, nosing and, you know, looking here and there and coming out with ideas how we should manage. So it's been that collective. And we have rankings and chairpersons, the external leaders, I'll put it, who are doing great.
Right.
And then foremost of these is our backbench. We have first-timers who are so determined, so hardworking, and I can't mention one and leave the other. So I commend their hard work, their industry, and I simply want to tell them that keep doing it right.
Okay.
Momentum is on our side. 2028 is ours. Our job is to do the heavy lifting for Dr. Bawumia to win, and it is Parliament that we win from. So let's keep going. We've been very collective. This cocoa issue, we've been working at it, working on the students, working with industry. And our strategy basically is just to make sure that we hear from the people who matter, not to just sit in Parliament and just blowing hot air, you know. When we had a meeting with Dr. Bawumia, he re-echoed that point to us strongly just after the 31st January victory. That look, he wants us to engage more in research and prove a point that no matter what.
Do you think that having been the deputy majority leader, become majority leader now, you're now minority leader in Parliament, which do you think is more powerful, more relevant?
Oh, Bernard asked me the same question.
Oh, he did?
You're also asking.
No,
powerful. It's not about which is powerful.
Able?
Yes.
Okay.
Bernard asked the same and you are repeating.
Right.
So, you see, in Parliament, let's deal with relevance.
Right.
In 2013, I was in Parliament, and Dr. Mark Esebeyebwa, I keep mentioning his name, and I mention it for good reasons. He and I were picked by Akotose of blessed memory. We are the finance committee. And Dr. Akotose was deliberate about nurturing and grooming us. So Mark, for instance, first timer leading press conference. Chairman sir also took interest in me. Dan Botry, the chief whip, took interest in us, preparing us to learn. Now, within a short period of time, Mark distinguished himself and made a name for himself to the extent that there were times that the speaker was addressing him as a deputy ranking on finance. Yet he was a first timer. So this is a message to every member of Parliament. It's not about the position you occupy. I, for instance, until I became a deputy majority leader, I had never occupied any leadership role in Parliament. Vice chair of committee, no. Chairman of committee, no. Deputy ranking, no. Ranking, no. It is what you bring on board. Do your research, work hard, show strength. And you may be back there behind. They will bring you to visibility. If you get into parliament and you are lazy, you allow other things to preoccupy you and you don't show relevance, I'm sorry, nobody will take you serious. So it's not about the power, but it's about how you make yourself relevant. Consulting widely. In NPP, for instance, you can't be on your own. You need to consult.
Right.
We have council of elders who are very interested in the politics of the day. They have strong views. You need to hear them. So I don't sit there sitting as Afenyo Markin,
Right.
but sitting there as the party and putting together all views and taking responsibility. You get what I mean?
I get it.
So it's not about the power, but it's about how you utilize the space to make your position relevant and cause your views to be heard.
Quite clearly, from everything you have said, you have a strong team, and so you credit what you have become today to the team, the strong, group of guys around you who are making your work easier to do as a minority leader. Do you have, from where you sit, the absolute support, unwavering support, wholehearted, undiluted, complete loyalty and support of your caucus members, the more than 80 members of parliament?
I don't need that.
Why?
The party needs that. And I would say that the party has the
You are the
loyalty.
commander of the truth.
No, if
which
you
the
don't
caucus.
simplify issues,
Okay.
all of us, the 87, owe a duty to the party. And I'm saying simply that from what I know, all of us are loyal to the party's cause. We are there on the ticket of the party.
But you are their
It's
leader.
not about me.
No, you're their leader.
I would do. It's not about me.
Okay.
It's about the party. And the party putting us together in various positions.
Right.
I shouldn't be asking somebody to be loyal to me. No, that would be wrong.
Right.
I should be asking the person to be loyal to the party. My duty is to be loyal to the party. We have a leader, the flag bearer. All of us must align to his vision and that of the party. You get the point?
I get the point you're making. The loyalty should go to the party more importantly than you, the person who's leading the caucus. I get the point. Do you periodically engage your friends, I'm talking about your colleagues who are members of the caucus, on how you are doing, how you're faring as the leader of the caucus? What kinds of feedback do you get from them? And how does that shape, for instance, what you do in Parliament?
Well, I think you are delving into in-house strategy. I wouldn't want to be discussing
And the reason I'm asking you, because I know you to be a very effective leader. I don't think that there's anybody at all who would dispute the fact that you've led a minority very well. But I want to know whether part of the factors that have made you who you are is also constant engagement with your people to find out, guys, how are we doing? Is there something we can do better? Where do you think we're falling? Is this something that you don't need to talk about? You don't need to tell me in greater detail what they've been telling you. But do you have that constant engagement
if
with
that's
them?
the thrust of your question,
And that's
then
the thrust
I would
of
do.
my
I
question,
think
yes.
that you should expect that.
Okay.
I mean,
Not all leaders do that.
No, well, the
Because
party,
for them, they believe you're always right.
The party NPP is a party of peers.
Right.
All right, you are their primus. And like I indicated earlier, you can't expect to have absolute powers.
Right.
And that you have all wisdom and all knowledge. The way the party is structured, it has in itself its own checks and balances and has a system for getting feedback. So yes, there's always a way to engage colleagues and find a better approach. That system is there. And I don't think going into detail
that's fine.
matters. And
That's fine.
I'm happy you agree with that.
Yeah, these are we call it these are house matters. You
Indeed.
don't want to go public with it. But I think that's so far so good. I think you've done a good job in leading the minority. Except that some people feel that sometimes you come across a bit belligerent,
It is
very,
necessary.
very combative.
No, it is necessary.
You know, you can be very hostile.
It's
minority
all
leader.
part of the job. Allow a space of mistakes. You can't be perfect. But a minority leader who is unable to punch when he has to punch, it's not worth being there.
Okay.
You get what I mean? I have to punch when I have to punch. I have to lose a friend if I have to lose a friend. That's what it is.
Right.
Sanity, I would do. No. Sometimes you must upset a brother. I mean, it's part of it. Right. But of course, the humanity in you must also get you back to engage where you get it wrong. There are times that I know I give hard time to my staffers, my research team. You know, I give them hard time. It's part of it. And when we have to reconcile, we reconcile. You get what I mean?
Okay.
You can't be smiling and laughing all the time.
Now, this question goes out to not to you as a person, as the leader of the caucus, but it goes out to the caucus itself. There's a certain view out there, and when you read social media commentary, you listen to analysts, there's a certain view out there that it appears that the minority in parliament are struggling to find some kind of a scandal with this government, and so you're basically engaging what is termed as a fishing expedition. You're clutching at every straw. So for them, a small matter comes up and you want to blow it out of proportion.
I mean,
and it is because you still haven't learnt your lesson as NPP in terms of the reasons why you lost the elections. And that is why you have engaged in this kind of political strategy, and that if you continue in this same way, in this same manner, you will not be able to please the electorate in 2028. What's your view on this?
Well, we have our strategy. And in this game, you can get it wrong sometimes. So I accept it. But all in all, I believe we are doing very well. That right time will come for people to see things for themselves. By the way, we are not the only group scrutinizing government policy and government actions. There are others who are also scrutinizing government actions. We raised the issue about the recruitment recently and all the issues surrounding it. We are not done yet. Wait for the final issues to be put out. 2, recently you heard about Deputy Chief of Staff who was awarded an 11 million contract by Gold Board, whereas Gold Board is recording losses, or Bank of Ghana is paying for certain charges. And, until we raised it, the amount, the fees was 15%. When we raised the issue, there was an emergency board meeting, jointly, Bank of Ghana, Gold Board, and they reduced the fees to 9.55%. That was a major success. Though we think it is not enough. But the fact that upon blowing the whistle, they themselves sat together and said, no, this is too much. In itself was enough. Now the issue about Fort Estate and the sole source, they came and said that as for them, they won't do sole source. Now today we see that the contract prices are even more than what was the case under Nana.
Alex, it's not a fact that they said they wouldn't do sole source. They said they wouldn't abuse sole sourcing.
Please.
That's not a fact.
Please.
They said they wouldn't abuse sole sourcing.
Please.
They'll make it a rare.
Please.
They'll make it an exception.
You go and play the Sona tape. Yes. Go and play what majority leader said on the House floor. I mean, when they launched their manifesto in Winneba, what Mr. Sami Jemfi himself said. I mean, let's be fair. Let's don't try to qualify things.
But even if
they said there will be no sole sourcing.
There will not be.
That's what they said. They said there will be no sole sourcing. Now we know
But the records,
that they are the
records
apostles
don't support that. The facts are.
Well, they said there will be no sole sourcing. Look, they've done 1 year. We are scrutinizing them. The time will come. The time will come. I have said that with time, Ghanaians will know the true colors of the NDC.
Okay. Let's talk about your party, DM. In fact, still on this matter of your leadership as a minority leader, what do you think is that one biggest lesson that you have picked up or you have learned following your defeat, massive defeat in the 2024 elections, which is informing your role as minority leader? One biggest lesson.
Give me time to think about it.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So you're watching us. You're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television, a special edition. Today is a holiday, and so we're taking it, like we say, we're taking it cool, nice and slow. I have the minority leader in Parliament here with us. He's an MP for a 4-term member of Parliament. I'm talking about the Sahine himself, Alexander Kwamena Afenyo Markin. Now, there's quite a number of questions on social media. Social media, I'm told, is going to blaze. Lots of people wanting to ask you questions. Yes. In fact, my producer before you came here today was actually considering, was thinking about bringing people here to have a forum so that Ghanaians can ask you questions about what they think of you and what they want to know from you. That have an opportunity to meet, the minority leader himself. So questions from viewers says, ask him why can't he debate on the floor without shouting Hajj Square Najalo? Najalo, yes.
Is it a human being?
It's called Hajj Square Najalo.
That's a social media name.
I believe so.
Well,
I think that's a social media name. Yes.
The way the chamber is configured, when you face your opponent when speaking, right?
Right.
So in most cases, they will be shouting, yelling, heckling. So it comes spontaneously at times. So you realize that where it is a normal statement, the approach is different.
Right.
But when you are debating and the temperature is very high, you most likely spontaneously react.
Okay.
It's part of it.
All right.
But it's something that I believe can be better.
Okay.
But it's often controlled by the speaker who would, gavel and order the others to calm down.
Okay.
Because you are facing them.
Right.
So it comes natural. But I think that
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.